Welcome to our third edition of Hangin with Haley. Today we have some special guests with us. It's no secret HSE has some of the best faculty around. Today joining us on this particular Zoom session is two faculty members, Dr. Eddie Gibbons and Dr. D. Jacobson. Both are, just so welcoming of students, so helpful, and I'm so glad that they're here to share their wisdom with us today. We're going to open at the end for questions. So if you've got questions for our faculty members, feel free to chat in at the end and we'll try to answer all your questions today. I'm going to go ahead and get started by introducing both Dr. Gibbons and Dr. Jacobson. Dr. Gibbons and Dr. Jacobson, I'm going to ask Dr. Jacobson to go. If you will share with us, Dr. Jacobson, your what you teach, what program you're under, and a fun fact about yourself that we may not know.
Okay, well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. I'm so glad you were able to join us today, and I'm thrilled that Haley asked me and Dr. Gibbons to be a part of this. My name is Dee Jacobson. I am a associate professor of professional practice in the School of Kinesiology, and I head up, or I'm the program undergraduate program coordinator for the BS in Sport Administration. So I, help facilitate that, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about internships and that as we move along. Let's see, a little fun fact about myself that my students know is that I play senior Olympic basketball, and I'm very active in, that community. I love it. All right.
And the students love you, Dee, so thank you for sharing that. Dr. Gibbons, will you share with us your information?
Sure. My name is Eddie Gibbons. I'm the faculty member with the School of Leadership and Human Resource Development. I'm the program coordinator for the undergraduate LHRD program for the majors. I'm also the program coordinator for the leadership minor, which is also housed within LHRD. I don't know if I have a fun fact about me, but I can say this: I'm somewhat new to academia. I started full time at LSU in 2018. Prior to that, I was in the military. I was in the Marine Corps, and then worked in industry for another 10 years after that. So I don't know if it's a fun fact, but it defines how I teach and how I interact with my students.
Awesome, thank you. So I'm going to just go ahead and jump into some of the questions that I get asked a lot regarding, faculty questions. And students are so nervous coming in, especially freshman year. And one of the things they always ask is, what should I be prepared for? Or what should I know for first day of class? What am I walking into? Can y'all shed any light on what students may need to know for that first class?
Sure, I'll go first. It's just to go to class, first of all. That's the big thing. And, I would say, walk in with with a big smile on your face, a lot of enthusiasm, and look around for people that you know. You'll probably know people that are in your class. And if you don't, one of my suggestions to my class always is that when you sit down and there's people that you don't know, and we're going to be social distancing now, but when you don't, hey, meet them, see where they're from, because we have a very diverse group of students that come from, all over the United States and internationally, and it's pretty much fun to start to meet people just on that first day of class.
Mm-hmm.
So I would, I think one of the things, I only know this because I heard my undergraduate freshman students mention it. So as in high school, generally your teachers are going to be with some regularity reminding you, hey, you have an assignment coming up. Hey, you have a test coming up. Hey, don't forget about this paper. Don't forget this, don't forget that. I can't speak for every professor at LSU, but I don't do it. I don't do that. It's on my Moodle course page, every due date that you will ever need from day one is there. It's all in the syllabus. So there is a less of a degree of sort of hand-holding you, and there is an expectation that we're all adults and you're going to treat the course that way. I would also advocate what Dr. Jacobson had said earlier, get to know people. So in the LHRD program, there's about 100 majors in our school. And I feel very comfortable saying the vast majority of those students are not only acquaintances, they're friends. They know each other. They remain friends after they graduate. They help each other get jobs after they graduate. So don't, I know it's ironic that I'm saying this, like don't isolate yourself, but be social, make friends and get to know these people.
Yeah, you bring up a great point, both of you. Those are students who are freshmen coming in. They just received an email about Welcome Week, and two of the things that they can sign up for. One is the Stripes program. One is Greek Life. And, both of them are great for meeting people. So when you go to your first class, typically you're going to run into someone So you can definitely, grab a seat, 6 feet apart from them now. Make sure you have their number and connect with them. And also I want to bring up two terms that you used, Dr. Gibbons, was our Moodle and a syllabus. And so freshmen a lot of times don't know what that is just yet. So a Moodle is basically where all of your assignments, it's our online platform for LSU. It's in your My LSU account. You can actually start accessing that now, but your courses won't be up on Moodle until closer to the start of the semester. So you'll start to see professors put that up closer to August. And you'll be able to see your, syllabus, which is really your course contract, of where you're going to have, your agreements with the professor in the course of what is expected of you. And so that's a way for you to really get organized and plan. So everything's really going to be there. And like you said, Dr. Gibbons, it's really a lot of self-motivation coming into college. So thank you for sharing that with me. So my next question, what a lot of students ask is, what is a college class like? What is the difference between a high school and a college class? And really, how can students, be ready for that?
You just want me to always go first?
You can,
We can just do that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. One of the things that I would say is they're all going to be different. You're going to go into some small, you're going to go into, well, hopefully in the future, some large classes, and they're going to be different, and the professors are going to, engage you in different ways. I may remind you more than Dr. Gibbons would, right? So you just need to kind of start to learn the personality of the instructor that you have, the professor that you have, and go from there. Because there's really not any one way that you can prepare. You can sit in a different desk every day. You can sit somewhere else. You find a group of friends and you can go somewhere else. I think back in high school, you had an assigned seat and that's where you sat. Well, not the case. And the other thing is, no one's there for a lot of it. No one's taken. Some people take attendance, some are not. But know that most people know when you're not there. And so make a point to go to class often. Even if you're in a class where nobody's checking to see if you're there, it's better if you're there.
Yeah, it's a great point. Dr. Gibbons, did you have anything to add to that?
Sure. I would advocate, so along the lines that Dr. Jacobson had said earlier, and I had said, hey, get to know your classmates, get to know your professors.
Yeah, great.
Just walk up to them at the end of the class, chat with them. We're human, just like anybody else. We're here because we love our field. We love what we do. We're passionate. I would venture to say most professors are passionate about what they're studying and what they're teaching. Get to know them. Don't try to hide. Get to know your professors. I feel like I know most of my students, not all of them. So when an outside, when a company reaches out to me and says, hey, we need an intern, do you have any suggestions? I'm going to remember the students that have come and talk to me. I'm not going to remember the students that were quiet and kind of hung out in the background. You know, we're not going to bite your head off. Just get to know us. We have a lot to give and a lot to share.
Absolutely. And that's a great point too, just about, you know, future jobs or internships. You can write a much better letter of recommendation if you feel like you know that student and you know their work ethic. So that's a great point. And I like what you said, Dr. Jacobson, just about you realize, you know, when a student's not there, even if you've got a large class, you start to pick up on who's there and who's not. So I think that's definitely something to point out for students.
I want time management. Time management. This stuff is easy to get away from you. And then you'll be at midterms before you realize it. And you're like, I got to study. I got to cram. I forgot. You know, the old saying, it's like how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. That's the same way with these courses, little bit by little bit by little bit by little bit. You're not gonna run 10 miles at the first try. So manage your time.
Absolutely. And that kind of leads me to my next question. So expectations for students. Do you have certain expectations that you think students should know coming into your courses?
One of the things that I usually communicate to my students is that the need to start to act or be a professional early on, even though you're just still in college, but you're learning to become a professional, right? Because we're all going to graduate with a degree. You're all going to go on to, you know, have a very successful career. And where do you learn that? You learn that right now. So you learn that in terms of, so expectations that I would have would be in correspondence, you know, communication that you have with, let's say, you know, one of your professors, that you write an email, not like you'd be texting your friend. You write a professional email that's capital letters, and, you know, you address the person, and, you know, you include as much information as you can. And the interaction that you have with not just your peers, but the interaction that you have, like Dr. Gibbons said, with your professors. That's something that we talk about a lot. Expectations for students to network, to begin networking. It's like never meet a stranger, you know. You never know who's going to be able to offer you some assistance, you know, later on, or just give you some valuable advice or information as you move through your academic career.
Absolutely.
I concur. So be professional, right? So everybody makes mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody misses deadlines. It is simply better when you email the professor. Don't email them a long essay of an excuse. Just, I did this. It's my mistake. I own up to it. I'm asking for this. And whatever you say, you say. If some students will, we read hundreds of emails a day. Or I do. So you can tell when a student is prepping an excuse. And you can tell when it's, you know, silly. When it's not real. I am more inclined to be soft if someone just says, "Hey, Dr. Gibbons, I botched it. I made a mistake. I saw this. I had another class. I had an exam. Whatever the case may be." I'm more inclined to, okay, I'll let you turn in that assignment. Maybe I'll dock some points, but I'll let you turn it in. Versus if I feel a student is coming at me aggressively and trying to find a loophole in the syllabus. Oh, you didn't say that, and you didn't say this. It's like, come on, you know what you're doing. Don't do that. And also, not only do the professors realize this, your peers realize this. And again, you know, we talk in LHRD, we beat the drum of, you know, college is a 4-year or 5-year period where you're prepping for the world. You know, I always say commencement is not the end. The word to commence means to begin. So when you graduate college, you're beginning your life, so to speak. And if you develop that mode of communication where you're sort of, you know, being dishonest and you're trying to fake the funk, not only do your professors realize it, your peers realize it too. And again, if someone comes to them and say, hey, do you know anybody that, maybe could, take this entry level position or take this internship, or you have any recommendations, you won't even know that they won't recommend you.
Mm-hmm.
It will never even enter your sphere of acknowledgement. You won't even know. You just won't get brought up. So we're always everyone, the professors too, we're always in a bit of a fishbowl. So just conduct yourself accordingly.
Absolutely. I love that you mentioned, Dr. Davidson, about the email. I made a mistake my freshman year with my freshman professor, and I did not know email etiquette, and I emailed in all caps, and he emailed me back, why are you yelling at me? And so I learned my lesson really early on, never did it again. So that's really great advice. And Dr. Gibbons, really what you were saying about asking for help, there is a wrong way to ask for help. And that kind of leads me to my next question. Obviously the wrong way is lie or, put it on the professor. They have a lot on their plate. You're answering a lot of emails. You're helping a lot of students. Just really the best way is to own up to it. Is there any other advice you would say you would have for asking for help? How should students go about that?
I would say ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there is a right and a wrong way, but just that initial asking for help is very important. And we have so many resources on campus, so many resources,
Mm-hmm.
and you should be able to go to one person, and then if they can't help you, they can direct you to someone else. You go to a faculty member, and then they need to go see the Office of Student Services.
Mm-hmm.
The main thing for me is just that initial asking. And I don't mean help like, oh, I forgot an assignment, like, Dr. Gibbons gave that, just help. I don't know where to locate something, or, I'm having difficulty, getting to class on time, or, just whatever it is. I think that's the important thing, because a lot of times we think we're cool, we should be able to do this on our own. Well, ask for help. I ask for help, and I'm old, so ask for help.
Yeah, I think just communicate.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of sort of, especially being freshmen, you guys are new, and you see this a lot in the classroom, right? So I love to foster discussion in my classes, but students are scared to look bad. They're scared to answer a question. Well, that also happens if they're maybe not necessarily inside the classroom, but they're looking at the syllabus or they don't understand something. They're scared to email the professor because they don't want to look bad. Well, I would say do your homework first, but if you maybe there's a mistake, maybe I didn't put something in a syllabus, or maybe it's not obvious on a website, or maybe you just don't know where to go. Communicate. Just email us. A lot of what I do all day long is return emails, and or just request a meeting. Maybe some situation is delicate. I had a student last semester when we had to leave campus. The student was in a jam. She was going back to an abusive home, and she wasn't able to capture that in an email. So she said, can we just do a Zoom meeting? Can we do a conference call? Communicate. Just communicate. Be authentic, honest, and communicate. And people will see that. And again, the majority of your professors are here, and they want to help. So we might seem scary, but we're not. We genuinely, authentically want to help you. I love seeing my students when they graduate. I love seeing when they become alums and they go off and do amazing things. So yeah, just communicate.
Yeah, I sometimes, because I'm working with a lot of our students before they ever leave high school, and then through their freshman year, and then honestly throughout their 4 years that they're at LSU. So sometimes students will feel more comfortable. They'll come to me asking me to help with a situation that a professor really has to help them with. So my advice too would just be, skip out the middleman. I'm there, of course, for all that emotional support, for scheduling support, for connecting you to resources. But sometimes you got to go straight to the source when you have got a question about a coursework or a class. I know they try to sucker me in sometimes to emailing you guys, you know, and I'll do it every now and then if I feel real bad for them. But, you know, you definitely have to motivate yourself to just put yourself out there and take initiative. So I appreciate both of those sentiments.
Haley, I'll add one more thing to that. And sometimes, you know, when a student emails, let's just say they don't get a quick response. And I get this from students all the time. They say, well, what should I do? I emailed and I haven't had a response. And I'll usually say, how long has it been? And, you know, if they say more than 2 or 3 days, I'm like, okay, well, it's okay to send them a gentle reminder. Now, that would be a right or a wrong, right? So the right way to do that would be start like, well, I know you're busy. I was just wondering if you've received my email that I sent, you know, earlier last week, blah, 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 blah. You kind of gently, you know, your way in there. And oftentimes it's just something that maybe's gone, you know, past our screen and we've just forgotten about, not with any intent of not to, you know, deliver something. So even like as my students look for internships and people don't respond to them, I like prompt them to, you know, after a certain period of time, this is how you can, you know, word a nice email to them.
Absolutely.
I would say
Yeah, go ahead, Dr.
after 48 hours is safe. I think after 48 hours, if you have not gotten a response, you can email them. And there's 2 reasons that will happen. Sometimes I'll get an email and it's a student's asking me a question, and I might email them back and say I'm looking into it. Maybe I don't email them back, but I'm still looking into it. So if they send me a reminder email, I'm like, oh yeah, thanks for emailing me. Here's your answer. Other times I'm just bogged down in emails and it's just taking me time to get to you. But I'm never mad. If anything, and remember this, at least for me, if a student emails me again and I haven't emailed them the first time, I haven't returned, I actually feel bad. I feel like I'm being lazy. I'm not doing my job. You're not irritating me at all. If anything, I'm kind of back on my heels saying, I should have got to him quicker. So.
Yeah. I mean, it happens to me all the time. I've had a student one time email me Sunday night at like 10 p.m. and I didn't respond by like 8 a.m. Monday morning. I'm like, well, you know, I do sleep sometimes. So definitely, you know, give them that leeway. But
3 hours is 3 hours is not long. I've had students do that. 3 hours later, hey, I emailed you 3 hours ago.
Well, you know, I see like, you know, 100 students about, you know, so it gets hard, but I know, and I get so many emails too. So it definitely happens where something will slip through the cracks. So it definitely it's great to give a reminder. So that's great advice. So, you know, a lot of times too, you know, mental health is extremely important. And, you know, right now we have such challenging times. You know, students had to really finish their senior year at home. You know, they're not sure if their college career is going to start kind of like they envisioned it. And so, you know, we want to support students once they get on campus and just, you know, being in college, being away for the first time, or even if you're right down the road, navigating, you know, all this is just can take a toll emotionally. So, you know, what advice do you have for students, you know, navigating new emotions as they come to college? You know, what would you tell those students?
Well, I think even in the most normal of times, it is a very exciting time, and it can be a very anxious time, you know, for, you know, leaving, you're going away for the first time and different, you know, whatever your scenario is. Again, I sort of say, find a group, take advantage of the things that you are going to do in Cypress Hall, you know, all of the different events that you're going to plan and things like that. It's all for a reason. It's for you to get to meet people and to feel more comfortable being, you know, in that environment. You can find help in a professor. You know, maybe one that has a personality that you like and agrees with you, and, you know, you can talk with them after class. And but there are so many resources on campus. That's just it. Just knowing, you know, not even knowing, but just asking somebody, what can I do about this? You know, most degrees will have clubs, or they'll have, like we have a sport administration association, smaller group of people. It's, you know, get to know those people. You know, you're not alone. You can find somebody in a group of people like-minded, and, you know, that you'll be able to relate with.
I like what you just said, Dr. Jacobson, that you're not alone. So the stresses that you feel when you're moving into your dorm,
Right.
the stress that you feel when you hit midterms, that same feeling has been felt by an infinite number of college students for the last 100 years. I mean, so you're not alone. Don't feel like you're alone. I'm going to, again, advocate what Dr. Jacobson said, find a group of people around you. So that group of people will, it's like peer pressure, right? You're going to hold each other accountable. And if you're running into a jam, again, you're probably not the only one that's ever run into that jam before. Go to your peers, ask them, get advice, get feedback. Your professors, they've been precisely where you are before. They've all gone through undergraduate programs. They remember what it was like to eat ramen noodles and, you know, live in, you know, bad apartments, and they've been there. So go to them. Also know that never make a decision, and this is really for school and work, and also for your, you know, your personal life. Never make an emotional decision. If something gets you upset or scared or angry, just wait a day or two, then make a call, then try to make a decision. Write it down if you have to in a notebook. I would also advocate, and this doesn't get nearly enough attention as it should, but physical fitness. You don't have to be an NCAA athlete. You don't have to be, you know, an NFL player, but, you know, your brain simply functions better when you feed it broccoli than when you feed it cheeseburgers. And you're just simply going to be more aware. You're just going to be a better version of yourself. So, you know, try to walk an hour a day, a half an hour a day. Walking is not exactly a really tough exercise. Try to pay attention to what you eat. All of that helps your emotions. It helps you manage your stress better. It helps you make smarter decisions. So don't treat that lightly. A lot of people just kind of ignore it. It's not that big of a deal, but it's probably as an adult, it's probably the most important thing that I can do to keep me being productive and not being tired, and keep me thinking and keep my mind going, is what I feed myself and how often I do some physical exercise.
I probably shouldn't mention I had a cheeseburger for lunch, so
Sorry.
you might.
Well, and I'll add to, you know, what Dr. Gibbons said. We have a great facility in UREC. UREC has a facility over at Nicholson Gateway. Take advantage of that. The School of Kinesiology offers 7 or 8 different kinds of activity classes, from golf to tennis to weight training to yoga to Pilates to aerobic dance and Tai Chi, and on and on and on. And that is what Dr. Gibbons is saying. Get in those. Those are real informal classes, and you can meet a bunch of people in those in that informal setting. You know, not structured like a classroom necessarily. So I would add to that, yes, what Dr. Gibbons said.
Absolutely. And those of you who are living in Cypress Hall in the fall, you actually have the advantage to, you know, get that class in your building. A lot of times those classes are taken up so quickly by, you know, juniors and seniors. As freshmen, you usually don't get to, you know, get a seat in that class. But this fall, we're teaching jogging, aerobic dance, and I believe Tai Chi in Cypress.
Tai Chi and yoga.
And yoga, yes, you're right, yoga too. So those are available. So if you want a seat in that, just email me and I'll make sure that you get a spot in that course. So just keep me posted if you decide you want to do that. So that's a great point.
And the other thing, just quick to remember, is that every kinesiology major, not sport admin, but kinesiology major needs 4 activity classes before they graduate.
Yep. It's a great point. And we'll, students who are in Cypress, you have questions about that and want to know if you need that for your major, if you want to use it as a free elective, just talk to me and I'll be happy to help you schedule that course. So brings me to my next question. A lot of students, when they're thinking about their freshman year and they're picking their major, they often think about, what else can I do? What other programs can I consider? Should I do a minor? And so when would you say, I know I have my thoughts on, I usually tell students not to worry about a minor their freshman year, just get acclimated, get in there, get settled. But would you have any advice for students when they should consider a minor, or maybe how they should research minors?
Eddie, you go first on this one because y'all have that leadership minor. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
So I would probably be thinking of a major and a minor concurrently.
Mm-hmm.
I would, and I'll say this is just my anecdote, right? This is just my personal opinion. I think that you should be trying to pair your major with your minor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that there are some people who are amazingly successful if they study astrophysics and poetry. But that doesn't compute. I don't understand. I guess it could work. I don't see how it works. So, in our case, leadership and human resource development, we're very much in the business world, right? All of our students go off to be HR professionals. So, I would, if a student's saying I want to study HRD, we may tell them to pair that up with psychology or IO-Psych, industrial and organizational psychology, because that's in the same thread as HRD. I might suggest that they study management because that's in the same thread as HRD. I might suggest that they go take the 4 HRM classes in the business school. It's an emphasis, not a minor, but that all of that adds to their body of knowledge in a specific field. And again, I said this earlier, when you're thinking of your time here and you're picking a major and a minor, you're here for 4 or 5 years. This is prep work for the rest of your life. So every decision should be made with that in mind. Like the goal was not just to graduate from high school and get admitted to LSU and graduate from LSU. The ultimate goal is to get a job that pays a good amount of money and that commands a respectable living, that you're proud to do what you do, you enjoy it, you're happy, you get a lot of satisfaction out of it. All of that would be my compass point as far as picking a minor. And so yeah, maybe around the same time as you're picking your major. And then the last thing I'll say is, at least on our site, you can go to our website and we actually have recommendations like, hey, this is a good degree to pair with this minor. Maybe you reach out to the program coordinator of that individual of that program. So myself and Dr. Jacobson are the undergraduate program coordinators for our respective schools. Reach out to us or one of our equivalents and say, hey, I'm thinking about studying this. What do you think is a good major? Set up a Zoom meeting. Hopefully a couple of years from now when COVID's behind us, meet them at their office. Again, they've been where you're at. Get all the knowledge that's in their head, and that's what you're here for, right? So get advice from them. Or, okay, one last thing. I always advocate for my students. In fact, I compel them to. It's an assignment to go on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a social media version. It's the sort of the business version of Facebook, right? If you're thinking of studying kinesiology as a major, what do I want to pair it with? Well, go on LinkedIn and find out who studied kinesiology and figure out what they're doing, 5-10 years after they've graduated. Send them a message. Say, hey, I'm a student at LSU. I'm thinking about studying kinesiology. I really enjoy it, but I'm trying to find a minor. What are your suggestions? And learn from people's, instead of inventing the wheel on your own, go to someone and get the information they've already figured out.
That's great advice. And too, the Career Center is such a great resource too. And, a lot of times as freshmen, they think they know what they want to do, which is why I always tell them to hold off just a little bit, get settled, and explore, because we have so many majors and minors. There's so many careers. I know a lot of times, both of your programs, really, I would say, I would speak to this. a lot of times students don't know what LHRD does. A lot of times they don't know what Sport and Men does. And both of your programs have such unique career opportunities that, and students are thriving, have, you know, incredible careers that quite frankly, I'm even jealous of from our students. And so, you know, get settled, go explore while you're on campus, see what other students are doing. There may be a career out there or a minor that you've never even heard of that really speaks to your advantages and to your, you know, your strengths that you may want to, you know, hone in on.
Exactly. And, you know, there are a lot of degree programs that have free electives in their degree program, you know, and that can range from, I guess, 0 hours to like 18 hours, which would be 6 courses. And so the earlier on you kind of know what you want to do, you can use those free electives to build a minor in and not take anything more than 120 credit hours as you go, you know, through LSU. Not spend one more, you know, semester paying tuition there. So each program is going to be unique. Like sport administration, you know, they have the LHRD. You know, we have the leadership minor, which is one that our students do a lot. We also have there's entrepreneurship, there's mass comm. Our students in commerce, if you're in small commerce, there's a built-in general business minor. It's built into the degree. So, yeah, I think what Haley said in terms of talking to other people and just kind of learning and seeing what's out there, and you will get that information in meetings that you attend. So listen, you know, you'll find out all of the opportunities that you have.
Absolutely. And Dr. Jacobson, you do a great job in like 2501, bringing in guest speakers, and
2513, the professional development as well.
Right. So you do a great job of just really connecting students to all the opportunities. I know Dr. Gibbons, you do as well. You hold a lot of different seminars and discussions about different careers. So just, you know, students take advantage of that. Go to anything that you can and gain that information, because there may be something there you want to do that you hadn't thought about. That kind of brings me to my next question. So this is always a hot topic with students, but a lot of students, you know, coming in, and even our current students who are on campus now, will consider a double major. And, you know, I definitely have some thoughts about that. And so I want to, you know, pick y'all's brains about, do you think it's worth the extra time and money to do a double major, or should really students be using that extra time and money maybe towards a master's degree? What would be y'all's advice towards that?
You want me to jump on this first?
Go ahead, Ed. Go ahead, Eddie.
I'll take a stab at it. It depends.
Yeah, right.
So I guess what I would fall back on in that question is, okay, let's talk about a double major. Is it going to help you get a job? Is it going to help you make more money? Is it going to, what is the double major going to do to make you more noticeable and put in amongst your competitors, right? Don't do it for ego reasons. Don't study finance and statistics because it's really hard and everybody look at me, I'm so smart because I can do this kind of work. If studying finance and statistics means right out of undergrad you can land a 6-figure job, then by all means rock on, do it. But if it doesn't make any logical sense, then you are wasting your time. And as far as like pursuing the master's degree, up until recently, I always tell my students, my HR students, my HRD students, wait, graduate, go to work for a couple of years, because you're still learning. When you go into the workforce, you're a freshman all over again. And there's still some learning you're going to do. And then if you work for a couple of years and then go do a master's program, it's going to be much more impactful, because you're actually going to, what the professor is going to be talking about in the class won't be theoretical. You'll remember that. You're like, oh yeah, this happened a couple of years ago. And, you know, and that makes the learning just that more concrete, as opposed to, you know, going from an undergrad and then taking a summer break and then going straight to a master's program. It doesn't necessarily make you more competitive. So in my 3071 class, this is the very first lecture I give. We talk about income. for our graduates. And I'll show students, you know, this is the average income you'll make with an undergrad degree from LHRD, and this is what you'll make with a master's from LHRD. And the difference is pretty substantial. It's about $40,000. And so I'll ask the students, hey, do you think this person made $95,000 a year because they had a master's degree? Because the data kind of makes it look like that, but that's not what it is. It's probably that person graduated with an undergrad back in 2005, worked for 15 years or 10 years, got a bunch of experience, then went back and got a master's degree. And it was the combination of their master's degree and their experience that got them the education. So a decision whether you're doing a double major or you're doing just a major and then going to get a grad program, it's really the question should be is what am I doing to best prepare myself to enter the world and be successful at whatever it is that I'm trying to do. Sometimes, because you could do a double major and like crush out all of this effort and you not really get a whole lot of return for it. It's got a lot of stress and a lot of really hard exams, and it might not actually do anything for you when you walk across the stage. So yeah, just be practical about that decision.
Yeah, that's great advice. I mean, really thinking about your return on your investment and your time. And is it going to help you in the long run? So that's great. Dr. Jacobson, do you have anything to add to that?
I do not. Dr. Gibbons said it very well.
He did. He definitely answered that really well. And I definitely share similar sentiments. And two, I would say, you know, sometimes I have students who come in, they're like, okay, I want to major in early childhood education, but I also want to double major in biochemistry. And if those two things do not compute, so I usually send those students, you know, you need to talk to a career counselor, really hone in on what you really want to do, because those are so far, you know, like you were talking about with the minor, it's so far from the spectrum. I don't think you really decided what you really like or want to do. So for students who come with that, I would say maybe explore some more.
I did just think of something.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now, I am the program coordinator for LHRD, but this is not a sales pitch. It is almost universally known and understood amongst practitioners, so professionals that are outside of academia, and it is also known amongst scholars who publish papers in scholarly journals that the vast majority of undergraduates that are leaving U.S. universities today lack soft skills. So if you want to, if I had to advocate for a minor, it would be a minor that would teach you soft skills. So psychology is one of those things. Obviously leadership is one of those things. Those are the two that are coming off the top of my head. But anything that deals with human psychology would probably not be a bad idea, because
social work.
A lot of our students graduate with technical knowledge. They understand how to be an accountant. They understand HR law. They understand finance. But you sit them down in a meeting and they're just really bad at communicating. They're really bad at working with other employees. They're bad at receiving feedback. They're scared to give feedback to someone else if they've made a mistake. So just consider that. Like, you know, that doesn't even necessarily have to be a minor. You have a host of electives you can take that you could fill up your electives with these you know, human-centric courses. So I just wanted to throw that out there. And that's incredibly, that ability to communicate and navigate is incredibly marketable and helpful.
Absolutely. That happens a lot too with our pre-med students who pursue kinesiology. You know, a lot of them, you know, have all the skills when it comes to the bios and the chemistries and the kines courses, but when they go to interview for their medical school, they lack some of those soft skills. So, you know, we encourage some of our students who are struggling in that area to consider those minors, like you mentioned, or gain those experiences where they can enhance those skills. So that's which kind of leads me to my next question, speaking of enhancing things. So no secret, both programs have internship requirements. Most of our programs do have either internship requirements or a built-in optional internship. And so I want to talk a little bit about how can students set themselves up for earning a fantastic internship that's really going to help them long term. What advice would you have starting out as freshmen?
Well, and I know I've heard Dr. Gibbons talk enough. He and I have been in, recruiting things and things like this before. We're going to both say networking. I mean, we're going to just talk about that. And we may talk about it in different aspects. But one of the things is just, like I said earlier, never meeting a stranger in your industry. This is the thing too, letting people that you meet know what you're doing. I'm a student at LSU. I am studying kinesiology. I'm studying leadership, human resource development. This is what I'm doing. This is what I think I want to do with my career. Let them know. That is huge in terms of being able to network with people. But then you have to do the work while you're in school. It used to be that you could say, oh, I'm a senior. Okay, I'm going to start looking. No more. You should be looking now. I'm being facetious, but you should start looking and taking advantage of any opportunities that you have to volunteer, any opportunities that you have to engage with other people in what you want to do. So that would be, just build as you go through.
That's great. Yes.
I have we're laughing because we have done this quite a few times. Okay, I have a lot to say about this. I have not calculated this past graduating class because of COVID. A lot of our graduating seniors went straight to grad school because they couldn't get work because we have a 14% unemployment rate right now in the state of Louisiana. So a couple things around networking, right? We told you, get to know your professors, get to know your students that are in your major. That's networking, right? The next step is, if there's always going to be some association or some institute around whatever it is you're studying. For us, it's the Society of Human Resource Management and the Association of Talent Development. Those are our two practitioner, non-academic associations that are outside of the university that we encourage our students to become members of. They meet people there, and that's where they get those internships. So a couple of things around this. One, you can't be shy. Do you think that when you meet someone at an ATD or some association meeting, or you reach out to someone on LinkedIn, you are guaranteed a response? Not going to happen. People are busy. People forget. It's not personal. They don't think you're silly or dumb. They just don't respond. You can't be offended by that, and you have to almost expect it. It's just the way it is. And so when that happens, you dust yourself off and you email somebody else. And then if they don't respond, you email somebody else and you email somebody else. And eventually someone's going to want to help you. And that's the first step to getting an internship. The second piece I would talk about around internships is when I look at my students, my successful students, the students that have gotten jobs at Exxon and Deloitte and Nike and I can't claim an undergrad, but we do have a graduate student from our program that's at Facebook. When you look at their resumes, they have good grades. They do, but they're not 4.0 students. They're between a 3.0 and a 3.5. But what's different about them versus the 4.0 student is they have 5 internships by the time they've graduated. There's no mystical reason of why these students are successful. It's simply that they landed an internship over and over and over again. They have experience on top of their degree. And when they go to apply, they're just head and shoulders above their competition. So again, remember, your goal here at LSU is not to get a degree. That's just a part of it, right? So when you finished your English 4 class in high school, they didn't give you a high school diploma. And LSU didn't accept you right away just because you finished your English 4 class. It's the same way with the degree from LSU. It's just a part of it, right? the goal of getting a degree is not just to get the degree, it's to start a career and build a life for yourself. So don't just focus on graduation day. That's just one step in everything else that you're going to do. So attend those association meetings, get on LinkedIn, network with professionals in the space that you're trying to enter. Don't be shy. Assume you're probably going to be ignored a couple of times. It's not personal. It just is what it is. And drive on. Also, and I might make Dr. Jacobson and Haley cringe when I say this, but when you graduate as a 4-year senior, nobody cares that you worked at Starbucks. It's not going to really matter. That job helps pay your bills. And the fact that you have that job does say something about yourself. It says that you can manage both schoolwork and a full-time job. But in our case, when HR recruiters are looking at our students, they're interested in the fact that they intern with Success Labs, or they intern with LSU HRM, or they intern with CF Industries or somebody like that. That's what's going to get someone's attention. If you put that you worked at Starbucks, I mean, that's good, but it's not going to set you apart. So
Starbucks is so good.
Haley, I love it. The cheeseburger and the Starbucks.
Starbucks. I am thriving right now in life.
my wife lives off of Starbucks.
Yes. I woke up extra early and I'm still drinking on the iced coffee that I got this morning. So I love it. Thank you for those sentiments. And I have one more quick question before I turn it over to the audience. And we're kind of running low on time. So I'll make this a quick last question that I have for you guys. And then we'll see if the audience has any questions. But, you know, with COVID, it's no secret that we may have to do some things a little bit differently. There may be some more online learning happening. A lot of students are really anxious about that. What would you say, or what advice would you have for students, you know, navigating an online class? Any quick thoughts on that?
Eddie, go.
Sure. I guess it depends on the class and the professor, but I think the first thing I would do is thoroughly read through the syllabus, read through the Moodle course page. If there's, and do this, like if you have an assignment due on Friday, don't email the professor Friday at noon, right? If it's due at 4 o'clock, or email them earlier in the week. We do make mistakes. If something's not clear, just get clarification. And that way you're kind of bulletproof before you turn in the assignment. Just have your ducks in a row. Do your best to kind of know what you're getting into. Over communicate, like we said earlier. If you don't understand something, email early, not late. These classes are meant to be passable. We're not trying to crush anybody. They are passable.
Yeah, I would say with that is set a schedule for yourself and try to stick to that schedule every day. You know, pretend that the class was meeting from 11 to 12 every day and work on it from 11 to 12 every day, or whatever the schedule is, but have a routine.
Yeah.
That I think is most important. And don't get away from that routine. It's like an exercise routine. You get away from it, then you're going to stop exercising. You get away from an online class, you're going to stop doing the work and the deadlines on time. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so true. That's such great advice. And I will say too, just check Moodle every day. Get in the habit of checking your email, checking Moodle, corresponding, use the chat rooms that are available in your courses, ask other student questions, still build that support group within there. Everyone's just like you, navigating it for the first time. And my biggest advice too would be, no one has it all together. Like we just, and I had students last semester come to my office say, well, so-and-so just looks like they have it all together. They may look like that, but they don't really. So it's okay to ask for help and ask questions.
Also, group me. A lot of students set up, I'm sure if you find somebody in the class, if it's an online class, just ask them add me to the group me, because there's always discussions that go on between students that is really helpful too.
Absolutely. I'm in a grad program right now, and I use GroupMe with my peers in my course, and it's the best thing ever. So I don't have to bug the professor for every question. I can ask those questions really quickly, and usually someone has the answer. So that's a great point, Dr. Gibbons. So I'm going to open it up to questions. I'm just waiting to see if anything comes through. So feel free to chat in if you're still hanging in with me. If you've got questions for Dr. Gibbons, myself, or Dr. Jacobson, we're happy to answer anything you may have. Until I see something come through, I'll just kind of, oh, we got something come through. Let's see. It is, of course, not opening for me. Let's see. Well, I thought I had something come. There we go. Oh, just someone said thank you. So yes, thank y'all so much. Y'all were so helpful. Is there any lasting advice you want to give students, kind of, any lasting remarks you want to leave for incoming freshmen or even our current students on campus?
I'll take a stab at this. You got here. You made it to LSU. That's an achievement. And when times get tough, and they will, and there will be a time where it's midnight and you're studying for an exam you have the next morning. You have to remember that you are capable. You got here. You were admitted to the university. And just because you come across a tough time, it doesn't mean it's the end. You may bomb an exam, right? It happens. It doesn't mean you're failing out of the university. It doesn't mean you're not going to graduate. You have to do your best to forgive yourself, dust yourself off, get back up, and go at it again. And that's life advice. That's more than just undergraduate advice.
Yeah. And I would say strike a nice balance between your academic and your personal life. Just have a balance,
Yeah. And, I think my advice, especially as an advisor, I have a lot of students who want to change their whole life on a temporary emotion. You kind of spoke to this a little bit earlier, Dr. Gibbons. I always tell my friends, don't cut your hair on a temporary emotion. Don't change don't move, don't change, make big decisions on a temporary emotion. So, if you fail that first bio test, but you have your heart set on being a doctor, don't give up on yourself just because you didn't do so well your first exam. That doesn't define you and your ability to become a doctor. That's just one area that you now know you can grow from. So, maybe if you're a senior year and you're still failing all those bios, we probably need to regroup a little bit. But your first one, don't be so tough on yourself. Know that there's so much help out there. And, just reach out, build your community and have fun with this. This is not supposed to be miserable. This is supposed to be a fun experience. So take advantage of the clubs on campus, take advantage of being at a university that is just full of so many different opportunities, so many new experiences, and just really enjoy yourself your freshman year or throughout your 4 years with us. So, well, I want to thank y'all both again. We don't have any more questions coming in. We did such a great job. We answered all the questions today. But thank you so much, Dr. Jacobson and Dr. Gibbons, for taking time. I know it's a really busy time this summer preparing for the fall, and I'm sure y'all are probably doing some teaching as well. So thank you so much for being there for our students. I will say I hear nothing but rave reviews from all of our students about both of you. So thank y'all for continuing to be a phenomenal support, and thank y'all for hanging with Haley today. So that concludes our session for today. Tune in every Thursday, 3 to 4. We'll be talking about new topics each week, and we hope to see you at our next session.